Hey, in today's English lesson, I'm going to tell you 7 things you must stop saying right now. If your goal is to speak English fluently, like a native English speaker, you must stop saying these 7 things right now. Do you want to know what these 7 things are? Well then, I'm Teacher Tiffany. Let's jump right in. The first thing you must stop saying is that you are not smart enough to speak English. I have taught thousands upon thousands of English learners around the world how to speak English with confidence, but I have heard so many English learners say this, and maybe you've said it before as well, or maybe you've thought it to yourself. I'm just not smart enough, Tiffany. It's so hard. English is so difficult. I just can't speak it like a native. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Let me tell you something. Right now, you're watching this lesson and I'm speaking English, but your mother tongue is not English. Maybe it's Swahili, maybe it's Japanese, maybe it's Korean, maybe it's Portuguese or Spanish. Your language is not my language, but you're still able to understand what I'm saying. That is proof that you, my friend, are smart enough. But you must believe that fact. You're smart enough. You can do it. Stop saying that you're not smart enough to speak English. Again, if your goal is to speak English fluently, you must stop saying this right now. The second thing you must stop saying is that you don't know enough vocabulary. I have literally spoken to students that were beginners, that were intermediate, and that were advanced. And they all said the same thing. Tiff, I don't know enough vocabulary. Stop saying this. You see, in reality, you find yourself using the same vocabulary words over and over again. That's true. That's a fact. But it's not that you don't know enough vocabulary words. Instead, it's that you haven't put into practice the vocabulary words that you have learned. You get comfortable with a certain set, even though in your brain there are tons and tons of English vocabulary words that you've learned from me or other English teachers, or even learned by listening to different podcasts or watching different movies or drama programs. You've learned them, but you haven't had the opportunity to use them yet. So stop saying that you don't know enough vocabulary. Change that and start putting into practice the vocabulary that is in your brain. Trust me, when you change the words you say, you'll change the outcome. You will start speaking English fluently. Stop saying you don't know enough vocabulary and start using the vocabulary you do know. Put it into practice immediately. Again, I want you to speak English fluently, and it's possible. You have to stop saying certain things. Again, stop saying that you don't know enough vocabulary. The third thing that you must stop saying is that your pronunciation is bad. I hear this all the time. Tiff, my pronunciation is bad, but I'm able to understand you. As your English teacher, I know what you're saying. When I speak to my students, again, students that are in my program, I'll tell you about it later if you'd like to join our family. But students in my program, I can understand them. And they've literally asked me, Tiff, how are you able to understand us? And I said, listen, in America, there are so many different cultures. We have Chinese Americans. We have African Americans. We have Japanese Americans. We have West Indians that are American but came from different West Indies islands, right? So we have many different accents in America. So stop saying that your pronunciation is bad, because what happens is when you continue to say to yourself, my pronunciation is bad, my pronunciation is bad, when you go to speak English, when you're speaking with another native English speaker, you'll get nervous. In your brain, you'll hear that voice. You know your pronunciation is bad. You know they're not going to be able to understand you. You know ... And that takes away your confidence. Stop saying that your pronunciation is bad. If there's something you'd like to work on, just change what you're saying. For example, instead of saying, my pronunciation is bad, say, hey, I'd like to work on my pronunciation of the F sound. That right there literally will affect your ability to speak English fluently. Instead of saying, I'm horrible, my pronunciation is horrible. Now you're saying, hey, there are some things I really want to work on. I'd like to improve my pronunciation when I say the F, the F sound, or when I pronounce TH. I'd like to do that better. Makes sense, right? Change the words you say to yourself. Listen, speaking English confidently, speaking English fluently. It's all about speaking English confidently. Your confidence is so important. So stop saying that your pronunciation is bad. The fourth thing I need you right now to stop saying is that English is too hard. Listen, I have students from all around the world in my program. And these students are not only improving their English, they are enjoying the process. I've had students tell me, Tiff, oh my goodness, like English is not that hard. English is not an easy language to learn, but you can study following a certain system or method that makes the process enjoyable. So stop telling yourself English is too hard. Because the moment you say to yourself, English is too hard, your brain says, okay, I'm not going to make any effort to help you conquer this language. I'm not going to help you actually achieve your goal because you said it's too hard. Stop saying English is too hard. Instead, figure out what you can do to enjoy the process. Follow a plan. Follow a teacher. Again, I'd love for you to be my student in my program, following us with my family. But if not, it's okay. But you need to simply find something that makes English enjoyable. Stop saying that English is too hard. It's not too hard. You just need to follow the right plan. The fifth thing I need you to stop saying is that you don't have enough time. I have many people say, Tiff, I don't have enough time to study English. I want to speak English fluently. I want to speak English like a native English speaker, but I don't have the time. Stop saying that. Stop saying you don't have enough time. And let me explain why. We make time for the things that are important to us. If you're married, you make time for your spouse. If you work, you make sure you're at work. You get to work on time and you work the full day, right? We make time for the things that are important to us. So stop saying you don't have enough time. Instead, realize English hasn't become important enough to you to make time for it. I know you want to speak English fluently. So stop saying you don't have enough time and find the time. Even if it's 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes can make a difference. Even if it's 10 minutes a day, find the time, but English has to be important enough to you. What's your goal? Why do you want to speak English fluently? I have a student named Fred, and he joined me for one of the workshop classes I taught a few weeks ago. And Fred started learning English because he wanted to get international clients. That was his why. That was the reason, right? So because of that, English became important. And Fred made time. Now Fred speaks like a native English speaker. He has international clients. He's making more money. His business is thriving. Why? Because instead of saying that he didn't have enough time, he made time because English became important. So figure out for yourself, why do you want to speak English fluently? Why is it important to you? And then you will find the time. Stop saying you don't have enough time.